Welcome to the Final Score Network and the Final Score Podcast, presented by Team Anders Realtors. I'm Andy. He's former NCAA student athlete and co-host.
Ryan, jam! Two-hand monster flush! Off the inbound. Ryan, Cam, slam, jam.
Subscribe to us on Podbean, the Apple Podcast Store, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter at TheFinalScore35 and TikTok at AG Spartan Fan 35. Oh, and one more note before we get started.
I'd like to apologize to anyone I've not offended yet. Please be patient. I'll get to you shortly.
Welcome into the Final Score Pod, episode 158. We're here January 23rd, middle of the college basketball season. Lots going on. We're down to 4 in the NFL. College football coaching carousel is done for now, question mark. Might spin more this week. We will see. More on that later. Lots to discuss as always. Podium, I'll go first, as I have every episode we've done. I think I've been on every episode. You did one by yourself when I was in Maine for business. So that's the only one I haven't been on. So 157, that's crazy. All right. I saw this tweet the other day after just a phenomenal performance in the American Express Open by Nick Dunlap of Arkansas, Alabama. 20-year-old amateur wins on tour for the first time since 1991. Phil at the Waste Management. Then there was the Greater Phoenix Open. Wow is all I can say. I saw this tweet. Someone that writes about golf said this, and it was really interesting. I mean, he's right. Youth movement in golf, it's so much different now than it ever used to be. The training, the different simulators, use the different technology that is used to analyze data and shot tracking and all this stuff. It goes such a long way, and you're kind of seeing it now. Like, are more young people going to keep winning on tour? Yeah, like these kids that are playing in the amateurs are like turning pro. They're getting really good at a younger age. There's a youth movement in golf, and these young kids are taking advantage of it, and more power to them, because it's awesome to see the new blood come in. And you can follow guys like, I'm sure this Dunlap kid, he dropped out of the tournament this weekend to focus and have fun, and I'm sure celebrate an awesome victory. Even though he doesn't get the purse for it, he's going to get huge NIL deals. Which is really cool. But there is a youth movement in professional golf and golf in general.
Yeah, I think that's cool. It's too bad it doesn't happen very often when an amateur wins and they win and they don't win any money. But like you said, NIL will be flowing through for sure. All right, my tee up last week, I was a little softer, and it was more of a pontification on a point made by Mr. Kurt Warner. This week I'm going to stay in the NFL realm, but I'm going to go back to my usual, more on the teed off. What is that? What Kip says?
T-O'd.
I just said T-O'd. I'm just going to say this: F the Chiefs. I'm tired of the Taylor Swift stuff. This is not what my podium is about, but I am tired of it. I was promised she wasn't going to be there, and then all we saw every 5 seconds was her and Jason Kelce, who I do like Jason Kelce.
He was annoying.
Shirtless and annoying in the booth, but that's besides the point. I say F the Chiefs because act like you've been there before. And what I'm talking about, if you miss it, is Patrick Mahomes trolling the wide right miss. Obviously, if you were watching the game, it looked like, a stiff breeze took one of Ryan or my drives and just like blew it way off course to the right at the last minute. Really unfortunate. If you're not familiar with the wide right fame, Scott Norwood and the Bills, I think it was the first of their 4 in a row, their historic 4 Super Bowls in a row that they lost. He missed a 40-ish yard field goal to beat the Giants wide right. Look, it happens. And here's the thing is, Chiefs heard the talk about, hey, first Mahomes playoff game in 16, and he and Kelce have some records set. And they heard about how, the Bills beat them again this regular season. Can't they beat them on the road? They actually finally have to go on the road. They don't have to play in Kansas City. So they heard all these things. And now, did the Bills players say some things? I'm sure they did. Guys talk like it's bulletin board material. I get it. But like the old adage goes, when you win, say nothing. When you lose, say less. And here's your supposed star player, Mahomes, mouthing off afterwards and trolling on his Instagram story and whatever. It's like, dude, come on. Like, act like you've been there before. The thing is with the Bills eliminated, I'm screwed for the AFC because I don't like either the Chiefs or the Ravens. And now it's a matter of who do I dislike less to root for to play? Can they tie? Can they just lose? And can we call 49ers Lions the Super Bowl? Like, I'm so tired of Taylor Swift. I guess I'll probably root for the Ravens because I'm not tired of anything, although I think the Chiefs are a better matchup for the Lions. But besides the point, my podium is Chiefs, shut the you-know-what up. Act like you've been there before because you have. And take care of business. There's no need to chirp back at a team. Period. Ever. You're a professional. Act like it.
That is very true. Wish people would act that way. All right, tee up for the week came out today. Milwaukee Bucks, 30-13 right now through 43 games. Got to be toward the top of the East. I don't pay attention to the NBA at all. Fire their first-year coach, Adrian Griffin. They fired their coach last year. Can't remember his name.
I know who you're talking about. He did well. He won a championship.
Yeah, they were great, and they fired him because they lost early in the playoffs last year, and they hired Adrian Griffin thinking, he can do better. Fired through 43 games because he's not using the roster correctly. All right, 30-13.
Yeah, failed to maximize the Dame edition is what one of the headlines says. And here's the thing. It takes a while to integrate a new player in with another superstar. You have two superstars all of a sudden. It takes some time. Like, Jordan made Pippen. Pippen just didn't all of a sudden show up as a superstar when Jordan was there. That's like, it takes time and it takes effort. And 30-13 is pretty damn good. Unless there's something that's not really being reported. This is what's wrong with just society today. It's like quit and throw it away and pay the next guy bajillions of dollars. It's like, what a waste. What a waste. What a waste of money. What a waste of time. I mean, the guy's going to get paid and whatever, but just, it's a joke. It's another in an extremely long list of why the NBA is a complete and utter waste of time and joke. Period. It should be relegated to below women's professional soccer, in my opinion.
Yeah,
that's how bad it is.
It's gotten really bad. Like I said a few weeks ago, I haven't watched an NBA game since I was in college, and we only would watch NBA games in college because we'd bet on them and watch them as a house as a joke. It's just stupid. Not much going for it right now. All right, time for Around the World. Let's get to it. College basketball. Oh boy, what did we do Wednesday? Was it Tuesday last week? So a week ago. A lot has happened since then. Wow. Upsets galore again. Don't be ranked in the top 10. That's all I'm going to say. Don't lose to an unranked team.
That.
It's happened a lot lately.
Bailey Zimmerman says, you don't want that smoke.
No, you don't want that smoke. Like we've been saying all along, beating the dead horse, but good Lord, is this the most even year of college basketball we've ever probably seen? The turnovers going to be nuts.
Look at the Big Ten alone. You've got
Big Ten's
you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams that are 3-5 or 4-4. Well, and then 4-3 throw in there too. It's crazy. Like it is going to be an interesting run the rest of the way. That is for sure.
Yes, it is. I guess we can talk Big Ten hoops here. What's happened in the last week? Since we were on the pod last, let me pull it up here.
Well, meanwhile, while you pull that up, spot 1 in Big Ten Power Rankings and Big Ten Chat are presented by Norris Sports Group. NSG is a boutique agency of experts with 30-plus years of experience in sports, sponsorship, and much more. Learn more about them today at norrissportsgroup.com.
All right. Rutgers in Nebraska last week. Rutgers has not been very good this year. Kind of down. Right after Michigan State, I think, cursed them after that tragic shooting when they wouldn't change their schedule for Minnesota. Then Minnesota ends up beating them. Rutgers kind of falls apart, goes to the NIT. They're 10-8 now. Beat Nebraska. That was impressive. Yeah.
They're down something like 18 points in that game.
Yeah, they came back. That's so tough to play.
It's hard to win at the Rack, aka the
Jersey Mike's Arena.
Yeah.
Yeah. Northwestern and Maryland have a weird rivalry that they built the last few years, just like weird old teams. Northwestern got him last week. Of course, Bowie played well. I'm tired of that guy. I can't wait for him. He probably will come back next year. I'll find a way.
The thing about Northwestern that's super impressive is that they're really, really good at home. And that is like historically a very split arena because Chicago is a very Big Ten centric city. There's lots of fans of lots of Big Ten schools there. You know, there's a lot of Michigan State alumni, for example. I don't know so much about Maryland since they're more of an East Coast team, but they're playing really well at home, minus Chicago State, in front of sometimes a split crowd. But it's become like a nice little advantage at Welsh Ryan.
It has, yeah. That's nice now. They made it.
They did a nice job. Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, Illinois, they just got Shannon back Sunday. On Thursday, they played without him, played at Michigan. They kind of struggled in the first half. Took Michigan's best punch, and then they just absolutely obliterated them. And Coleman Hawkins, I was not a fan. I am a fan of him now.
He's a bit of a mouth breather, but he's probably one of my favorite non-Michigan State players.
Really good basketball player. He's fun to watch. He plays the game correctly.
He hustles. He can
shoot.
He can
plays good D.
Put on the floor.
Good passer. He's a stud.
He had a career game against Michigan. He was really good in that game.
He's really fun to watch. Michigan's terrible. I'm sorry. Jawan's got to be going bye-bye after this year because this is woof. Woof is all I can say.
He and Woodson, right? I mean, like, he's in Indiana's.
Don't hire an old player to be your coach. That's all I'm going to say. Speaking of Woodson, Indiana on the road against Wisconsin on Friday gives up 91 to a
cheap shot, elbow to the neck, like not Indiana's style. Yeah, Bobby Knight used to do, his antics and his ridiculousness, but that was expected because he was a volcano. But for your players to start to do it, something's out of control there and is not looking good for Indiana.
They're just not very good.
They started off, I think, 4-0 in the Big Ten. Now they're 4-4.
They haven't developed anybody. I mean, their guard plays terrible. They've always had good bigs under Woodson. I mean, TJD, Race Thompson. Now they have Ware and Renaud. They're pretty good.
Renaud was really good in the Wisconsin game.
But good Lord, not very good. Purdue goes to Iowa, very cavernous place to play. Iowa's 11-7. They're not great, and Purdue beats them by 14, 80, 30, and 18. Just a machine. And Iowa has good bigs. That freshman big, Owen Freeman's a really nice player. And so is Cricky.
Is Polo's boy on the hot seat?
No, he's the all-time winningest coach for Iowa. He just achieved that last week, actually.
I mean, they're a fairly young team, but they're struggling this year. I mean, they're 11-7 overall. They're a stretch to make the tournament. Yeah,
it's going to be tough uphill sledding. Ohio State bounced back, beats Penn State by 12 after they lost to them earlier this year.
They're only 3-4 in the Big Ten.
They're not. They haven't been world beaters. And then Nebraska turns around after that loss against Rutgers. Northwestern getting off a big win. Nebraska beats them, and apparently I saw Tominaga was just burying threes left and right again. I mean, that's a fun team to watch.
That dude pisses you off if you have to play against him, but man, he can hit. He's kind of, remember, he reminds me of Jimmer Fredette.
Yeah, he does.
He just can pull from anywhere in the gym. And
he doesn't hold his follow through.
He just looks like a kamikaze pilot. He's got like the Japanese headband going.
Sushi chef.
But, I mean, Nebraska ended this year so far super long streaks against Indiana, Michigan State, and Northwestern. Like 7+ games, I think, in all those cases. Indiana might have been 8. They don't look now, but they do have a fairly key injury right now.
Gary, but he could come back. That's
a solid team. I mean, they are. Let's see here. What's their overall?
13-5, I think.
Yeah, 13-5, 14-5, 4-4, tied for 5th. I mean, they're playing for a shot at the 4 seed.
I think if they get to 21 wins, I think they're shooing to make the tournament. It's just their strength of schedule outside the Big Ten great. But
if they beat good teams in the Big Ten,
it would be a 10 or 11 seed you wouldn't want to see in the NCAA tournament. I'll tell you that much.
I mean, there's what did I say? Iowa, Minnesota, Ohio State, Indiana, Michigan State, Nebraska, Northwestern all have 3 or 4 losses in the conference. They're all battling for that 4th spot because the top 3 are locked. You cannot convince me otherwise.
No, it's not going to move.
Unless Zach Edey gets hit by a bus, they're locked. Wisconsin's playing really well.
They're up right now.
It's been interesting. You got 3 games going tonight. quickly, my power rankings, we don't even need to talk starting five because my starting five sucks. Michigan dead last, Penn State 13, but I said it last week and I'll say it again. I think Penn State's one of those teams
sneaky.
that I wouldn't want to play them in the Big Ten tournament, and I think that they're going to get some wins. Are they going to make the tournament? No, they're 9-10, but I think they could end up north of 500 and make a run in the NIT because they've got some nice pieces on that team. I think they're going to be building for towards something maybe for the next couple of years if they can keep people. Iowa 12. I mean, I think a lot of these are interchangeable. Iowa 12, Rutgers 11, Minnesota 10. Minnesota battled Michigan State for a bit the other night and is really big. And Michigan State gets them here again in next week maybe on the road.
Couple weeks.
Maryland 9. Maryland's one of those teams that, they've got some talent, but
really
they just
defense.
can't quite get over the hump. We'll talk a little bit about the Michigan State, win there. That was a big setback for Maryland because they don't lose at home very often. Ohio State's struggling. I've got them down to 8th, although you could still probably say they would flip with Indiana at 7. I think there's a big gap between 7 and the rest. Honestly, I have Nebraska at 6, and I have Michigan State ahead of them, even though my past history is to, not put teams ahead or behind that have won. I'm going to base that on what's there for the taking in front of them. I think Michigan State's a better team than Nebraska, but at this point, you could argue Nebraska could still be ahead of Michigan State. I still have Northwestern number 4. I think they're a little bit one-dimensional, but they're just another team that you just don't want to face. And the top 3 is the top 3. It's Illinois, Wisconsin, then Purdue. And any of those 3, I really, truly believe could beat the other at any given time. Wisconsin sits at the top, 6-1. 14-4, Purdue 17-2, 16-2, Illinois 14-4, 5-2. So I mean, Northwestern's right there with 3 losses, and like I said, a pile of teams with 4. But I think those 3 are by far and away the next 3, and then it's really probably truly Michigan State, Northwestern, maybe Ohio State, maybe Nebraska if they can stay healthy to fight for the double bye.
Yep.
Got anything else Big Ten? Because I got some other stuff.
No, not really.
Well, let me ask this: how many Big Ten teams do you think make the dance?
I'm at 6 right now, maybe 7. Purdue, Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan State, Northwestern, Nebraska, and Indiana and Ohio State. I think are team one of the 2 could get in if they end up getting closer to 20 wins. But I think 6 for sure. But it's not the Big Ten of last year or the year before, that's for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think 6 or 7 at this point in time could change. I don't think it's going to be much less than 6. No. I don't think it's going to be much more than 7, but it wouldn't surprise me to see like a Penn State pull off a run in the Big Ten tournament.
Ohio State did it last year.
Right.
The losing record.
All right, so now moving on to the national. If you remember, dating back to last year, I love to look at that. I'm like Izzo. I'm not a ton of an analytics guy because we'll get into that during the Michigan State segment, but analytics don't always tell the whole story. But KenPom has been pretty accurate historically, as in teams in the top 40 on offense and the top 22 on defense at the end of the regular season have won the national championship every year since 2002. And I think that's when they actually started to track it. So every year, and probably if you could retroactively track it, probably
I'm sure Michigan State in 2000.
It makes sense, right? Like top 40 on offense, means you're good, you're really good on offense, and you're excellent on defense, top 22 on D. So who falls into that category as of today? I looked at KenPom tonight before the podcast. Purdue, they're number 2 on offense, number 13 on defense. Arizona, number 7 on offense, number 5 on defense. Auburn, kind of a surprise. They haven't really played much, but they've been really good. Number 9 on offense, 6 on defense. Here's another outlier for you. BYU, 13 on offense, 20 on D, so they're kind of skating a little bit towards the outside there. Here's a team that is hotter than Hades, North Carolina.
Hey, that's my team of the week.
15 on offense, 4 on defense. Talk about a turnaround from last year. Houston has struggled a little bit more in the Big 12, making the move up from the AAC. 17 on offense, number 1 on defense. I think that's always going to carry them. Tennessee is 19 on offense, number 2 on defense. It's another really nice team. Here's the kind of a surprise team for us. Michigan State right now, number 30 on offense, number 22 on defense. So just hanging by a thread on D. But I think some of their efficiency stats and some of those other things are pretty remarkable, actually, when you look at it. And their turnovers are
Lowest they've been
excellently
in the
down.
Izzo era.
Marquette is the other one as of today. 37 on offense, 12 on defense. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams with a shot as of today. It ebbs and flows a little bit. It kind of will range from 8 to 12 over the next few weeks, I would say, because there's some other teams. These are the don't count them out teams. UConn, number 3 on offense, 29 on defense. So they're close.
They're really good.
Kentucky's a little bit more of a long shot only because, although they just bolstered their roster with an amazing player, a 7-2 guy that plays like a guard. Kentucky's number 4 on offense, number 75 on defense, so they got a ways to go on defense, but that's still a loaded roster. Wisconsin is actually not too far out there at 5 on offense. 5 on offense from Wisconsin. That's crazy. 50 on defense. Illinois is actually really close. 8 in offense, 27 on defense, so they could easily swap in there. And then Kansas, 27 on offense, 25 on defense. So realistically right now, those are 4 teams. Kentucky's probably more of a long shot out of there, maybe even Wisconsin. But like that's where that 9 could easily play down a little bit or go up a little bit. But I'll give you that fodder from week to week. So here we are, January 23rd. First time we're looking at it over the next, 6 weeks or so.
Yeah.
Got 9 teams: Purdue, Arizona, Auburn, BYU, UNC, Houston, Tennessee, Michigan State, Marquette. If this was the last week of the regular season, I would say make sure you have a bracket with one of those teams winning it.
Yeah.
So that's it for me for college basketball.
I don't have anything else.
All right, spot number 2. We're going to go hodgepodge mailbag, sponsored by Mitchapalooza, with a sprinkle in from Chris as well. We got 5 questions from Mitchapalooza, ranging lots of different sports. They're all good. Mitch, we love your questions, so bring them in here. Number 1, what is your favorite Tom Izzo reaction or tendency? Mitch says his is the hand in pockets when he gets emotional, like Steven Izzo shot or Cassius on senior day.
That's a good one.
Mine is the thrown, like the thrown fist, like he kind of puts his head down and he just like pumps his fist in the air really hard, like when they get a big defensive stop or whatever.
Yeah,
that's when you know things are going really, really well. Michigan State's on a big key run, or they're like pulling away in a big game or something.
One of my favorites is the chase after the ref, sliding his feet after the ref.
That's great.
I can just picture it closing my eyes and
great.
shuffling his feet after the ref.
Here's one for my boys too. Going back to our era at Michigan State, the Judd Thud. He would his eyes never seemed to make eye contact with anybody, but like you knew he was talking to you, and he would just like slap his forehead. Like he was bald, and he would slap that forehead when he was mad about a bad play by Steginga or Mark Montgomery or Steve Smith, which didn't happen very often, or Respert or Snow or whatever, or if it was a bad call from the ref. That's a little bonus shot there for you, Mitch. All right, number 2, Mitch says, how many Lions do you think are trending toward the Circle of Honor or Hall of Fame careers? He has 3 currently: Amon-Ra St. Brown, Penei Sewell, and Frank Ragnow.
Yeah, I think those 3 for sure. I'd maybe add Laporta in there as well. I think that he can, if he just stays healthy, he can be one of the best tight ends in the league for a
he's
long
elite.
time.
I mean, he's a great blocker, and he's an even better pass catcher, great route
athlete.
runner. I would agree. St. Brown just continues to be sneaky good. He's got that chip on his shoulder. He's not the only guy to memorize all the players in this position to, be drafted. Draymond Green famously can recite everybody that was drafted in front of him too. Like a lot of guys use that, but he uses it for good. And minus, I put in my notes for a while. We'll talk about this more in spot 5, but uncharacteristic drop on a key third down in this first half that I thought was a huge momentum changer at the time, made up for it as the game went on. But I think he's special. Is he like Calvin Johnson special? No, because he just was otherworldly at 6'5" with an amazing vertical and whatever. But he just is a guy that's going to get you, when healthy, 120 catches a year and key catches and make big plays. Sewell is fantastic. I can't disagree with that. Ragnow is he's just a stud. I mean, the dude playing with every potential injury known to man and doing it for the love of the team. Goff loved it so much that he had him, dragged him to his post-game interview. I think the bright side is the Lions are actually still a pretty young team. I mean, you look at it, 4 of their best players and biggest contributors this year are rookies. So they're going to be around for a while. Yeah, does it get expensive to keep guys? Yeah, but I mean, what they have is potentially very sustainable, and so more guys could certainly fit in there. So it's hard to argue with any of those guys. I would say, for me, a lock out of that is probably Ragnow for sure. I mean, not maybe Hall of Fame, but I think Circle of Honor for sure. I just think he embodies grit for sure.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to number 3. How many strokes would you need to make the cut at Augusta in April? 36 holes, and the cut is -3.
Huh.
So
I don't think there are enough strokes.
So what kind of head start? Are you talking like you'd have to start every day at 18 under, so you start at 36 under? Could you shoot 39 over and make the cut in 2 days?
Probably
on
not.
that course.
I'd shoot 39 over.
I mean, what is that? So 39 over is.
I'd probably shoot over 100.
39 over would be, well, that's just in 2 days. So 18 over a day, that's a 90. There's no way. I mean,
No.
I would say, let's see, I think I could shoot like 110. I'll say. So just to answer the question, I'm going to say that I need
a
what
lot.
is that?
I'm just saying
38.
a lot.
I need 76 strokes to make the cut.
A lot.
What about you, Mitch? How many strokes do you need?
Mitch
Chris,
is really good.
how many strokes do you need?
Mitch is close to scratch.
Okay, so I said 76. You probably need more than that because you
100.
suck compared to me.
100,000.
So, kidding.
Too many.
Yeah, so that's a good question, though. I like to think about that. Make us do a little bit of math. Math's hard. Number 4 from Mitchapalooza. If you could create a golf tournament from scratch, where would you host and what type of event would it be? Like, would it be stroke play, match play, team play, etc.?
I think match play is really cool because there's only the only one tournament that does it, and it's the WGC whatever Dell Technologies, whatever the hell it's called. I think it'd be fun to do match play. I don't know. I kind of like to rotate it. I don't know. I don't have a certain course in mind.
And score doesn't matter to me. Like if guys can kind of tear it up, I would like to see this because maybe it would help make it more reachable for the average golfer. I would like to see a match play rotating in the courses at Bandon, and I would like to see a way for them to pull in the par 3 course. Like one day they play 20. I don't know if that's 9 or 18, but play that course as well in there as like a bonus overtime round or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Pine Valley would be sweet.
Yeah, Pine Valley, that would
very
be a good
hidden.
one.
No one knows anything about it.
It's always ranked in the top 2 or 3
Or like
in the country.
those
in the
courses
world.
that are like in the Hamptons. I think one's called like
How about
Friars Head or something.
Cabot Cliffs or
Cabot
whatever
Cliffs.
up in British Columbia, or not British Columbia,
It
but
doesn't even look real.
Yeah.
Nova Scotia. That's right.
Nova Scotia. That's just insane. So good question there, Mitch. And number 5, he says he's right. We don't talk much about it, but
Wings,
shout out the
baby.
Red Wings trending towards the playoffs.
We're not. I mean, I'll watch. I keep track of the Wings. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know a ton. I know some of their players, but they're in the first wild card spot right now, playing really well. I think make the playoffs. That'd be awesome.
And I'll
they can
admit,
score.
like we went. A couple of us went to the Griffins game, which is their number 1 affiliate for New Year's Eve, which is also a traditional Red Wings thing. And it's a blast. Like hockey is so fun. It's not because it's not a sport that I necessarily grew up with. Like I watched it as the Red Wings especially took off in the 90s and 2000s and got really good. And I knew all those guys, knew the players, watch. Now, if they get in the playoffs, I will watch it religiously because I've said on this podcast before, minus March Madness,
It is. A
there's
blast.
nothing like playoff hockey. I don't care what you say. For my money, there is nothing. Like I still, and I've said it on the podcast before, I can remember talking to Kristen before she moved to Michigan, so before we were even engaged, watching the double overtime Stevie Y game winner on a slapper from about the blue line against the Blues to send them to the conference championship. Then they were in the Western Conference championship, just like, and going crazy. Like that horn sound, I mean, hockey is fantastic. And I know enough about it to watch and pay attention to what calls may be called. It's just not typically where I stop. I typically stop at college basketball or whatever. But come the playoffs, especially if the Wings are in.
On TV for like, I mean, they have ESPN now.
Yeah,
which
they
is
have
cool,
a little bit of it.
but it's not like we have Bally or NHL Network.
Bonus there is that I always was a Michigan State. I've always been a Michigan State hockey fan.
Been great.
Michigan State went to the Frozen Four twice when I was there, and hockey was so popular then that you could only get half-season tickets as a student. And I went to a game, I remember, on a date where Michigan State down by 1 against Miami, Ohio, face off in their zone, 4 seconds left, won the draw, pushed it back. Steve Sue, Chris, you probably remember him, slapped it in to put it into overtime. And Michigan State was really good, and they have not been great since they won the national championship in 2008. They're really good now. Well, bonus shout out to them. They got slaughtered at Munn by Michigan 7-1. We got down 4-1?
4-1.
At
First
Yost,
period.
and then had the biggest comeback ever and won at Yost, so much so that the Michigan coaches wouldn't shake hands and beat them 7-5. Michigan State is top 5, depending on what poll you look at, and has a team that has at least a pretty decent outside shot at making the Frozen Four this year. So that's fun to watch because they haven't been that great lately. They had a couple really good players in the U.S. junior team that beat Sweden. In the World Nationals too, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So bonus hodgepodge question. Chris asked, would you have taken a guaranteed scum, for those who don't know, scum is one of the terms of endearment my buddies have for Michigan, SC U of M, scum. Would you have taken a guaranteed scum loss in the Natty, but it means you never see a Super Bowl title for the Lions in your lifetime?
No. I'd take the Lions title over that crap.
Here's the thing. I'm closer to the end of my life, hopefully not really that close, but than you are. I've already noticed that I think because Michigan fans know, they're losing Harbaugh, they're losing all their good players, but I think they know that at some point in time, regardless of what the NCAA president said, the shit's going to hit the fan. I have not heard word one from a Michigan fan lately at all about, hey, we won the Natty, whatever. I mean, maybe I'm just not around them much. Maybe they just know not to poke the bear. But I think it's almost like it was a relief to them. They celebrated it and they moved on. So I would say, no, I'd like to see, especially if the Lions could do it this year or anywhere in the near future. It's just, they haven't even been to the Super Bowl before. So to win it would be phenomenal. I just think of what it would do for Detroit. I look at Michigan's like, we all know the truth. It was not earned as much. Okay, so they earned it with some play, yes, but they had a lot of very fortuitous help along the way that was done through illegal means. So that national championship to me means nothing anyway. And whether it gets vacated or not eventually, it's meaningless, so I don't count it. So I would rather see the Lions win the Super Bowl.
Yep. Agree.
All right, so moving on to spot 3, gets its own spot now by itself, golf. So, Ryan, you talked about this a little bit in the your podium, the significance of an amateur winning for the first time since 1991. To put into context, the last amateur to win it was Phil Mickelson, won the now Waste Management, then the Phoenix Open in 1991 as an amateur. Obviously, we know where he's gone, minus off the rocker, where he went with his career. I saw some stat that had to do with 1952, and I can't remember what that stat was related. But, I know what it was. This kid won the junior amateur and the U.S. amateur, I think, were the two. Only, first person since Tiger to do that. And, other than that, nobody had done it since, 52. Maybe that was what that stat was. But I think, that just, it sends a message that nobody really truly does care who's going to leave for the live, because there are plenty of great golfers waiting in the wings with great stories. And his was a great story because he had to hang on. He had to make a 6'9" putt, to win it outright and not have to go to the playoff. Didn't know where he stood. There was no scoreboard there, he said afterwards. Just a cool story because he wasn't in line to win millions of dollars. He gets some good exemptions out of it. He's going to make millions of dollars because of it, but it's just a flat, great story. And I think there's a lot of significance there because it gives more and more people that push to say, hey, I could do this. So speaking of that, how did our picks do for the AmEx?
Yeah, you had a nice weekend.
My guy Burns, I didn't bet on him, but
31st
he was
combined.
He was right there, and then I think he choked from 2nd to 5th or 6th or something like
he
that.
got 6th, and then
because he doubled the last two
got
holes.
25th. My guys, Ben Griffin did good, then McIntyre missed the cut after 3 days. Which brings us to the Farmers Insurance Open out at Torrey Pines. Very fun tournament. First one on CBS this season, I think. Isn't it?
Yes, it is. And it's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yes, because of the NFL.
Yep.
Let's go picks. Who you got this week?
Oh, man, I'm just looking through. You got your guys already picked?
Yeah, I've got Jason Day, a guy that's historically played well there, and Xander Schauffele, he played well. He's played well this year so far. Yeah,
I'm looking. There's a lot of some of the guys. Is this a
No, it's not elevated.
It's not
I think
elevated,
next week, I believe, is Pebble, and that might be elevated.
Yeah. I'm going to go, here's one I'm going to throw at you, Sepp Straka.
Big Sepp.
I think that I'm looking for guys that I know have historically played well there before. I'm going to go Sepp, and I'm going to go, I'm going to go with a guy that finished runner-up at the AmEx, Bizadino.
Interesting.
He's been he played pretty well, I think, in the Sony as well. So those are
South African.
Guys.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun season. Rory won in Dubai. 5th time he's won that tournament.
Michael Block's playing. Did he play last week too, or
I don't know if he played. I think he did play last week.
First tournament for. I just saw him on the list, and now I can't see him anymore. Doesn't matter. Oh, Max Homa.
Yep. He won last year, didn't he? No, he won the Genesis.
He won the Genesis. Yeah. He's a SoCal boy, so that'll be I like the Farmers, and it's not going to be the Farmers after 2026. So kind of a fun one to watch. All right, so I have 2. These could have been mailbag, but I have 2 things that I found last week. I haven't been on TikTok in a couple of days. Usually, this is where I find these and I save them for the podcast. All right, so pick 3. These are golf related, of course. Pick 3 for your next round. Number 1, free drinks. Number 2, course to yourself. Number 3, hit all 18 greens. Number 4, hit every drive perfectly. Number 5, a hole-in-one. 6, play your dream course. 7, no lost balls. 8, birdie on every hole. That'd be like what? What would you shoot then? You'd shoot a 50, 60, 54. 9, perfect weather. 10, caddy of your choice.
You get to pick 3 of them?
Pick 3.
Oh, geez. Birdies, every drive perfect, and let me see the other ones again. Hole-in-one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the more realistic. Give me free drinks. Give me the course to myself so I can just enjoy it and probably lap it and play it twice in the time that most people
play the same hole twice.
And give me, I already had a hole-in-one, and I would say make that on my dream course. Free drinks, course to myself on my dream course.
All right.
That's what I would take. All right, so the other one that I had is more of a little checklist. How many of these 10 items have you completed? Number 1, play the top 100 course.
Yes,
multiple. We've done that. We've done Harbor Town. We've done Arcadia. We've done Forest Dunes. We've done quite a few of those. Number 2, hole-in-one.
No.
Yes. So that's 2 for 2 for me. Number 3, attended a major.
No.
I've attended a pretty good amateur, but not a major. No. So that's a 0 for both of us. Number 4, been on a golf break. I presume that means taking a break from the game of golf for an extended period of time for something other than an injury. Who the hell would want to do that?
Yeah.
I mean,
I didn't play, I guess, that from September on.
Threatened it, but that's because football season happened. Yeah. So no, never done that. Played abroad?
No.
No, because no. Chris and I were supposed to play in Bahamas the day that I met Kristen, but we got rained out. 6, broke 100. Yep, both have done that. 7, a bogey-free round. No.
Well, maybe
I've come close when I shot the really good score up at Forest Dunes, but no, not a bogey-free round. 8, hit a drive over 300 yards.
No.
Yep, we've done that. 9, hole out from a bunker.
I've never done it around. I've done it thinking around, but
you've never done it around? I think I've done it maybe once.
I holed out a couple times last summer.
I've holed out more from the rough. Remember a couple summers ago, I holed out like 4 times.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
That's crazy. My longest hole out was actually almost as long as my hole-in-one. It's at number 17 at Blythefield. It was like 155. I guess my hole-in-one was 209 yards, but that was pretty fun. An eagle on a par 5. And number 10, back-to-back birdie. Have you ever done that?
Yeah, I think I've done that
too.
Once.
So. Yeah, so that was a fun one. Once in Haiti. All right, anything else for golf?
No, I don't think so. All
right, now a word from our presenting sponsor. Team Anders Realty will help you find the home that fits your wants and needs, and they make the process simple and fun along the way. The Anders have served thousands of clients for 30-plus years in the West Michigan area and are here to serve you today. Learn more at teamanders.com. And a special shout-out, because we've been doing this podcast a little over 3 years now, and they have been our day one title sponsor, which is pretty cool. And that's not just us saying, hey, we'll read an ad for you. That's actually they pay us for the sponsorship, and we use that to pay for our hosting fee, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. Spot number 4, State of State.
Where should we begin? Football real quick?
Yeah, I'll do football real quick. Good flip.
Yeah, kicker. New kicker.
5-star kicker. That's good because Kim is back, and he was really good last year, but it gives this kid a chance to probably hopefully redshirt and then come in and play. If he sticks around. Michigan State's gotten some good kickers lately that have left, so we'll see. But he was a flip from Oregon State, and I like the offensive lineman that we got from Holy Cross, too, FCS.
Yes, Luke Newman. Yeah, that's a big get for
FCS All-American.
Nothing else really in football. Looks like offering some good guys for
Martin especially is really all over it with respect to the defensive backs. We offered 4 like high caliber DBs last week.
He's a good recruiter, so it'll be great. I don't really have anything else football wise. I don't think. Basketball against Minnesota started off awesome. Let the foot off the gas. Finished strong. Tyson Walker remembered that he's an All-American in the last 4 minutes and scored our last 12 points. Played really well.
There's a time to accept that he's just typically, not all the time, but typically not going to do that all game, and just as long as he does it at the end of the game, we're okay.
No, I want it all the time. He needs to know he needs to shoot 20 times a game.
Because at some point in time, Michigan State's going to get so far out, or you're going to have to overcome so much that it's just not going to happen, and it's going to burn them. That's what I think, which it did early in the season.
It has, yeah. Don't need that.
I'll say he's not been scoring quite as much lately, but his assist game is kicked up.
Yeah.
So he's facilitating really good offense because he's being manhandled.
Yeah. We say he's not scoring as much. 30 straight games with double-digit points. Yeah. Almost a record for Michigan State, which is
and he's still third in the Big Ten in scoring.
Yeah. I mean, he's really good. But good win over Minnesota, pesky team. Then Sunday, start off phenomenally in the first 15 minutes, and then the last 25 minutes is a whole different team. Couldn't throw a ball in the ocean. Really good defense. Again, it's been a really good defensive team for the most part all year. It's just offense it broke down. Couldn't make shots.
Maybe high 30s% of the score in the second half, like 17 points.
It's ridiculous. It's just the offense gets too bogged down. There's a lot of one-on-one dribbling the ball, late clock. Michigan State's predominantly usually terrible late clock.
If they're not fast breaking, which they were when they got 44 points in the first half, they are so stagnant in the half court. And I think we've talked about this in the podcast. So if you go back to what was it, 2018, 2019, when Ward got hurt.
Yeah, that was 2019, early February.
And Michigan State was like kind of mired a little bit in the mud, and they were slogging. And Izzo went to the NBA pick and roll offense because Xavier could do it. And it like took a lid off the offense. Well, fast forward, Michigan State's got the guards for that offense still, but because Walker could do it, theoretically, Hogard could do it, although he can't hit the broadside of a barn 2 feet away from the basket. I mean, Holloman could even do it. Pierce could do it. Problem is Michigan State doesn't have the big guy to do it. Even last year, they marginally kind of sort of did because they could do it with Hauser and he could pick and pop, and he had some post moves. So my argument would be, Tom, I know it's out there in the ether. You've got a playbook that has like literally 300 plays in it, because I used to scour that thing for stuff when I coached AAU for some brilliance, like zipper and some other plays. Like, go back to some of that, because this, especially in the second half against Minnesota, I get a little bit when you're trying to run clock a little bit at the end of the game and maybe you have a 6-point lead. But even then, getting a shitty shot at the end of the shot clock and hoping for an offensive rebound or hoping for a foul is not good, because AJ is one of the worst finishers around the basket. Tyson may be great at the basket, but he's getting beat up. You're putting him at risk. It's so maddening to watch. And teams know not to let Michigan State run. Michigan State runs on misses, they run on makes, they run any chance they can get. But if you can get in their way, slow them down, and you turn it into a slugfest, the only saving grace Michigan State has is their defense has been playing really well. I mean, think about the play at the end of the game when they missed actually a pretty good shot to go up, 4? And Holloman just absolutely had a complete robbery of Maryland's best player in front of their bench. It was excellent at the end of the game. By the way, I've said it before to Ryan a million times and my buddies. My 2 favorite players in this team, by far, bar none, are Holloman and Carr. I still don't think Izzo plays Carr enough. I get it. He makes some freshman mistakes, but he also goes out there and just plays hard. I would still like to see more of him because Hall, for as great as he's been playing, my fear is he's going to get run down. But I will say he had a great first half.
Really well.
Wasn't very good in the second half offensively, but his defense has come along with it. Holloman's been a godsend once he adjusted to having to kind of pick back up some of the Fears role, which a little Fears update. It sounds like he could be ready. He's progressing nicely and could be ready for the tournament, which is nice. Mahdi, you want to tell the Mahdi story? You don't have to say where you heard it from, but
no, I'll keep it under wraps. Just to say that he is an effed up.
There's a reason why he has a bad hand.
He's a bad hand.
So that we learned. Chris, Dave, hit me up. I'll tell you. Because I know this person that told the story to Ryan, but you're not going to know him, and I'm not going to tell you who the source was anyway. But, Cooper, I think, has been playing decent. My other thing is like, again, I've said this since he came back. If you're going to freaking have burned Kohler's red shirt, play him. And here's the thing is against Maryland, he was playing both ends. He was hustling, and one play he had a block shot, and he saved it out of bounds, and he saved it the right way. He had a phenomenal push-through baseline spin move. Like, I don't get why you're playing him like 3 minutes a game, 4 minutes a game, and not getting him at least 8 to 10 minutes a game, pushing him towards 15 minutes a game. I just don't get it because you don't have an inside presence to score other than Hall or a putback or a run out or a lob. Because that's just not who Sissoko and Cooper are. So I'm struggling with that. It'd be really interesting coming up this week. Michigan State really just has one game against Wisconsin. Got smoked at home pre-holidays when Michigan State wasn't playing that great. So it's a big one. They're up last I saw 10 at the half at least at Minnesota. It's not a game I expect to win, but it's a game that if you can win, put the Big Ten. The Big Ten race is put to bed for me. I think the champ will probably eventually lose a total of 4 games, but Michigan State's not going to go undefeated the rest of the way and win the Big Ten. So I'm not worried about that. I want to get a double bye, and I want to get as many good quality wins as possible for the tournament.
Yeah, just make it.
So that's going to be the big thing. So question would be then where Michigan State is now. 12-7, 4-4,
12-7,
taking advantage.
12
schedule
games to go, right?
Schedule plays. Yep, schedule is pretty good in their favor. Where fast forward to how you think the season's going to end? How do you think they end up seated?
I think anywhere. It depends on record and who you beat, who you lose to. I think they could range from anywhere. I think that the highest they can go if they only lose a couple more games, I think is a 5. I think the lowest they can go is a play in 11. I would guess probably right around the 7-8 range. And I'll tell you what, a 7 or 8, that's not what we want at Michigan State. That's not what the goal is. We want a top 3 seed. We want to be, up there.
But if there's a year to do it, this is the year because there's so much.
I'll tell you what, if I was a 1 seed or 2 seed, I wouldn't want to play Michigan State. Seeing Michigan State in the second round on a short turnaround with Tom Izzo as the coach, no way.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I think if they, let's just say, absolute best case scenario, they go like 14-6 in the Big Ten, which means, that's 10-2 down the stretch. And then let's just say they win it in Indy. I think they could get all the way up to a 3 seed. I don't see that happening. I think they're more in the 5-6 range, honestly. But I agree with you. I could see them down to the play-in game. I mean, hey, they still could miss the tournament. It depends on how things go and injuries and that kind of stuff.
Twice as a 5 seed, so
yeah,
once is a 7.
I could definitely see in that kind of mid-pack range, and I completely agree. If I'm a 1 or a 2, now on prep where you saw them in the Sweet 16 as like a 5 or whatever, sure, but not on 2-day prep. No way. There's just not been a better coach on 2-day prep than Izzo. Period. No. Grades, we kind of talked through the players. I mean, it is kind of what it is. Like I can't wait for Hogard to be gone. I can't wait to see the future of Fears and Holloman. I can't with Hogard. I can't. He jogs back when he screws up on offense. He misses a lot of shots. Has he made big buckets? Yep, I'll give you that. Does he make some clutch plays at times? Yep, I'll give you that. But I've had way too much of the senior. He's a senior, people, and the brain farts are years. Like I can smell them from East Lansing to here, and I'm just like, they're unacceptable to me. They just are. They're lazy. He's lazy. That's why I don't like him. Here's an interesting one I saw as an article. I didn't read the whole article, but their premise was that Michigan State really has truly lacked a true 5 in the last 4 to 5 years, at least since Xavier, which 4 years ago. Any correlation between that fact and the fact that Dwayne Stevens is no longer
That's
the
how
coach?
Spartan Shadows. I know that for a fact. And no, there isn't, because he recruited Thomas Kithier and Julius Marble and
Marble
Madi
was good,
Sissoko. He didn't even play anymore. I don't think I think that he's a good coach, I think, but I don't think he was some world beating, like look at Michigan State.
He's doing well at Western,
Look
though.
at Michigan State's bigs in the era before Tillman. Ward, yeah, really good. They were on the same team, whatever.
Nix.
Gavin Schilling, not good. Ben Carter, not good. You had Matt Casello, who developed to be really good, but then who was our center? Like Payne, he wasn't really a center, I guess.
No.
I mean, Nix was
Neither
solid.
neither was Carter.
It's not like Michigan State's had
Jaren Jackson.
some amazing centers. I just think that a lot of that's talent. I think he's a decent coach, but I don't think that that's a reason why Michigan State centers are bad. I think that it's just recruiting misses, to be honest with you.
Yeah, fair. I guess I don't really necessarily have a take. I think you make some good points there. I think it's interesting. I mean, I could see where they got to that correlation, to be honest. But I mean, I think
we've missed
Wojcik
on
is a good coach.
I mean, the amount of recruits that Michigan State's missed on ever. I mean, especially in the last 10, 12 years. I mean, you finished runner-up to Duke or North Carolina for big guys like Vernon Carey, if you remember that guy who went to Duke a few years back. He was unbelievable. Like, just finished second to guys like that, and then they ended up being really good players. Like Isaiah Jackson, that played for Kentucky, who starts in the NBA, I think, for the Pacers. He was a big that was originally from Michigan that we didn't get because Kentucky probably threw a bag at him before NIL was a thing.
Yeah, I'm looking at one point. I think he was 4-0 for the first time Western was, I think, in forever, and they're 4-2 now.
Right
They're
now,
7-11 in the MAC, so they're pretty average. Tough job. MAC jobs are, unless you're Akron and Bowling Green, Toledo are the three best teams. I don't know. I asked that question kind of too because do you think that Izzo's not going to go anywhere, but is he a guy that...
It's funny you ask that because I was thinking about this earlier. Like, does Michigan State see with what he's doing in Kalamazoo and say, this is good enough for us to make him the successor? I would personally not want him to be the coach. I'd want Michigan State to go outside of the family, find, a guy that's done well at a mid-major or proven at a AAC school.
Like the Judd path almost?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, like Dusty May but he's going to get the Indiana job if Woodson gets fired, I think.
Right.
A guy like Wes Miller that played at North Carolina, coached at Cincinnati, a bigger job. If he keeps doing well, this year they're doing a little better. Last year they weren't good, but Drew Valentine at Loyola, he would be a decent name. Indiana State's coach. He's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Can't remember his name. Shirts, maybe. I don't know.
We don't have to worry about it for a while because Izzo says he's in it for the long haul. So we shall see.
It'll be interesting.
All right, spot number 5, coup de grace, NFL. I mean, the Lions going to their second NFC Championship game ever, first since the 1991 season. It was in 1992 when they went.
I haven't won a road playoff game since 1957.
Or was it 93? It was the 92.
92, lost to Washington.
Yeah, they lost. They scored the first touchdown, if I remember correctly, because Jeff put a hole in our dorm window, and then they got throttled, like 41-10 or something.
41-10.
So one thing that I saw is if they get the 49ers, and they're about a 7-point dog right now, do they sign Barry to the practice squad so he can get a Super Bowl ring?
I think they should.
That'd
be hilarious.
By the way, a little plug for that. Bye Barry. Good little story, and for Lions fans who certainly know and love Barry, it's a great reminder of how bad the Lions front office historically was until this current run, and how much ineptitude there was there. So it's on Amazon Prime. It's about an hour and a half long. It's worth a watch. It's a good watch, minus the Jamel Hill appearances. She's a bag, but whatever. Here's a quick point for you. I think it's 23-8 now, going off this graphic that Chris sent me. But the Lions are 23-8 since Peyton Manning and Jeff Daniel attempted to lift the curse of Bobby Lane with the bathtub thing in Ford Field. That was on like Peyton's Place or some, one of his TikTok things or whatever, but really funny. Just it. We don't even really need to talk about the other game. We can talk about them real quick. Like Baltimore dominated Houston. That's not really a surprise. Their defense looked
Packers
great.
49ers was good.
Yeah, that was a really good
Lions
game.
were a dumb Jordan Love decision away from having another playoff home game.
Yeah, I know. Imagine that.
I wouldn't have wanted to play Green Bay, though. I wouldn't have been able to handle losing.
And Debo is questionable, so we'll see.
50-50.
Like if he doesn't play,
That changes their offense.
it changes them significantly because they go from a triple-headed monster with Kittle and McCaffrey and him, kind of like the Lions with Laporta, St. Brown, and Montgomery Gibbs. You take one away and it kind of makes them a little easier to defend. Here's the reason I think the Lions have a really good chance to win is because as much as I really like Brock Purdy, I think he's fantastic. I think it's
pressure on him, man.
I think it's ridiculous that there's like a dozen college quarterbacks that make more money in NIL than he does as a near Super Bowl quarterback. I was really impressed. I watched San Francisco a fair amount this year, but I really watched him against the Green Bay, like a little advanced scouting. Really impressed with the way that he can kind of move up in the pocket and doesn't get too flustered and out of whack. He throws sometimes passes. You're like, oh, we got away with that, and he did that a couple times against the Packers. He doesn't, but he's not super flashy. He's kind of like a Goff type of quarterback.
Maybe a little more.
But I think if the Lions can get the pass rush, now San Francisco got a really good offensive line, but if the Lions can get some pass rush, and if the back end can hold up a little bit, there's no reason I see that the Lions can't win that game. If Debo is a full go with McCaffrey and with Kittle, I think they're going to have to get into a shootout, to be honest, to win that game. But if they
Niners' defense is really good.
But their defense is good. Their secondary, I think, is kind of like the Lions. It's a little weak. Their front seven is their strength. So it could be the battle of which secondary screws up the most. They have a younger kicker in Moody. He's got a bit of a leg, but
he's kind of shanky lately.
Kind of like a Green Bay's kicker in that game too.
Yeah.
I think the Lions have a fighting chance. And here's the thing: is the reason it's not it'd be disappointing if they lose, but the reason it's not super disheartening is because they're not favored. There's really nobody. I don't think there's really any huge key players that I'm thinking of that go to free agency this year, right?
No one you can't fill a hole with.
So with the way they've been drafting and with they got some things that they still need to shore up. They need another guy to pass rush and such, but more secondary depth. But if they can take care of some of those things, there's no reason they won't be back again next year. This is not a flash in the pan, one and done thing, which is why, and because I've already long ago self-avowed not to be as diehard a Lions fan as a Michigan State fan because I can't do both. Sunday was bad enough on the ticker from the basketball perspective and then the Lions game. It's why I'll be calm regardless. Disappointed if they lose for sure because I do think that they can win that game. But know that this isn't even like 1991 where they kind of rose up and Barry was it, right? Like they didn't have a quarterback then. And Goff has proven himself as he's to stay.
He earned his contract.
The Lions had a lot of good players back in 99 and 91, like Spielman and Benny Blades and Lomas Brown and Kevin Glover. Like they had similar types of other players. They did not have a quarterback. The Lions have a quarterback now and he's locked up or he will be locked up. So I think that's the beauty is that
keep that old line moving, man.
Regardless of what happens, they're not a one and done, which I think is the key.
I think the Lions not having Jonah is going to hurt them a little bit, but I'm nervous about this game because it would be beyond our wildest dreams as Lions fans to be in the Super Bowl, but I feel pretty confident about it. Like what Dan Gamble is going to fly on that plane to San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if he never punts.
Yeah, I don't know that he'll do that. I think early on he'll kind of feel it out and see what he's got. But Lions have nothing. The Lions have nothing to lose. San Francisco's been really the favorite. I mean, I picked San Francisco to be in the Super Bowl since the beginning of the year. Not that I'm the only voice of reason, but I mean the pressure's on them. And honestly, it's like the pressure's on the Ravens. The Chiefs and the Lions are kind of sitting there. The Chiefs have been there a bajillion times, but they're kind of sitting there like, okay. I think the Ravens are going to beat the Chiefs. I think the Ravens are
They're really good.
significantly better. Their defense is good, and Jackson's had a MVP season. I almost said Heisman MVP season.
Yep.
They're really, really good. I mean, they made Stroud look like a rookie for the first time since the first game of the year when they made him look like a rookie, and it was his very first NFL game. And he's a really good young quarterback. Like, their only touchdown was on a punt return in that game. So
yeah, should be interesting. Can't wait.
So what are your picks then?
I'm going Ravens. Homer, Lions. Ravens,
Lions.
Rematch.
I honestly think it's going to be Ravens 49ers, but I really do think that I think it's a coin toss. I think if the Lions
supposed to be 70 degrees outside.
Lions
supposed to be 40 degrees.
Yeah, not raining like it was last week. So I think the Lions can take care of the ball and don't get too overwhelmed by the moment. Because San Francisco was in the NFC Championship last year. I think the Lions can definitely win that game.
Yeah. Why not us? And then real quick, NFL thing I alluded to earlier. Harbaugh's second interview with the Chargers today. Apparently they're talking staff. I think it's just a matter of time before Jimmy goes bye-bye.
Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you.
Too bad, Jim. Sorry. What will Michigan do? We'll cross that path when we get there. But could be interesting.
Stallings is on the market. He's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Selling his Vimeo or whatever for money. What a piece of crap. All right, let's get to sprint. Sprint's well. This is what we could have teed up. I forgot about this. That Caitlin Clark.
The court storm.
Will court storming be outlawed?
Well, I mean, they've been trying to outlaw it forever. Like, there was one security guard because there were 12 fans at that game. Right. I mean, but seriously, it was, if you didn't see it, it was a pretty good. The girl didn't hit her on purpose, I don't think. If she did, she did a really good job of hiding it. But it's just like, you put your stars at risk in that. And, I mean, look, the SEC has tried to ban it by charging these schools a bunch of money, but they don't give a shit. The kids don't care.
No,
like, it doesn't impact them. Unless you ban the students from a game, it's fun. Like in a women's game, I don't really necessarily get it, but I think you may see more security, but I don't think court storming ever leaves the game.
No, I don't either. I do not either. I hope it doesn't.
I think what it does is it gives you need to have, okay, I'm going to put some of it back on the teams. You should have a better exit plan. Like, there's a lot of schools that if they know a court storming is coming and they're on, obviously on the away team, they'll just kind of signal down to the bench like, hey, we're going to GTFO because we don't want to get hung up in this. And coaches kind of nod it out and say, yeah, that's fine. Like, I think there's a mutual respect if you decide to do that. Now, if you're doing that to puss out of a handshake, that's different. But, like, if you genuinely feel the crush of it, I don't have a problem with that. Like, if let's just say, we play at Purdue, but let's just say Michigan State should never storm the court anyway. But let's say, I don't know, Nebraska beats Purdue at home, which they already did this year.
Yeah,
actually.
They stormed the court.
Like, those are kind of epic and those are different. I think then you exit stage right and nothing happens. I think that's the key. Like, you got to be aware of as a player. It's not Caitlin Clark's fault, but I think you need to be aware of that.
Yep. Worst quarterback left in the playoffs. I think it's Purdy.
Yeah, and that's tough to say because obviously on the AFC side, they're both excellent. And I think Purdy is, like I said, I think he's very good. I don't think he's necessarily the worst quarterback, but he's by far the least experienced quarterback. Goff's been to a Super Bowl. We forget about that, but he's been to a Super Bowl.
He's been balling.
And he's been playing well. I think I'd look at it more like not worse, but more apt to make a mistake because they're young and get caught up in the moment. I would say Purdy. I'm not going to say worse because I think he's a pretty good quarterback.
Will anyone younger than 20 years old ever win on the PGA Tour?
It was close this time, right? 20 in 9 months or something like that. Man, I mean, like if Tiger didn't do it.
I think it's possible.
I think it's possible, but I guess it depends on how fractured it becomes with the live maybe, but I'm going to say no.
Hottest seat in Big Ten basketball.
Oh, man, I think it's got to be Woodson. I mean, Indiana, they lost a decent amount, but he's hasn't really recruited anybody phenomenal, right? Like when I watch them, I'm not inspired by watching Indiana like
terrible.
I have been in the
They're not
past.
fun to watch.
They could just rely on Trace Jackson Davis the last couple of years and know that they probably were going to be in every game, and they don't have that anymore. So I think it's Woodson.
I'm going Jawan, but I think
Jawan too. Yeah,
Woodson's
I kind of count Jawan as he doesn't even count as a coach. Yeah,
Woodson's a close second for me though. I think Holtman's up there.
I don't see Ohio State getting rid of Holtman. I think he's a good coach.
I think he's a good coach, but I don't know. They've been great. All right, that's 158. Let us know your picks for this weekend if you have them.
Send us your mailbag questions. We love them.
Yeah, appreciate you guys listening. Couldn't do it without you.
All right, kind of in the realm of coaches getting fired and so on and so forth. As the now very much behind the scenes Will Smith once said, money and success don't change people. They merely amplify what is already there.